And a good Monday, everybody. Welcome in. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hope you're having an awesome start to your day. Man, what a weekend it was. We got a lot to get into. Titans lose in overtime to the Colts yesterday. The college football playoff is set. Preds win last night in Buffalo. Nick Frazier, Dr. Crane is here with us as well. JoJo, what's up?
What's happening, man? It's a fun weekend of football and chaos, everything else that went on, and good that the Preds won, gave a little some smile on the faces, but the Titans, my goodness, what a oh man, 4-8. Now you just kind of have pride and play the season out, I guess.
Well, not only that, and look, I'm going to be 100% honest when I say this.
Oh, I like it when you're about 94% honest.
Yeah. 94.9%.
Yes.
Yeah. I really don't care about the Titans at this point. Like, I'm just kind of done. You know, they are what they are. We can sit here and we can overanalyze. You know, is Mike Vrabel a jerk, or is Mike Vrabel just, it's a bad year? Should Mike Vrabel be fired? You know, should Craig Aukerman be fired? Should they get new coordinators? Like, all these things. You know, could they get a top 5 draft pick? Like, what have you? I mean, we'll talk about that. The thing that I am, like, just fired up and passionate about is the college football playoff.
Oh, absolutely.
And the top 4. And did they get it right or did they get it wrong? And I even went as far last night because, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about the show. I did Preds pre and post last night. So I'm, you know, prepping and working and thinking about the show. And I'm like, what do people really care about? Like, our audience, what do they want? What do they want to talk about on today? And so I put a poll question up on my X account at Chase on Game. I said, I'm curious of this. What is a more important topic to you? The Titans lost to the Colts or the college football playoff? 67% said the playoff.
Okay. Well, it's fresh on our mind.
Sure.
Now ask it a week from now.
Right. Yeah, right. And then people won't care. But, I mean, like, I think that's where the fans are with the Titans. Of it's just like, I mean, it was a fun game yesterday, but now, you know, not only do you lose the game, you've probably lost your punter for the year. Derrick Henry's in the concussion protocol, probably not going to be available for the Monday night game in Miami. Jeffrey Simmons is hurt. Wiley got hurt. I mean, they had a lot of guys leave the game yesterday, and so it just adds to the list of, you know, crap that's hit the Titans this year.
Well, I mean, Henry got popped on that run.
Oh, yeah. He stood up and was wobbling and didn't know where he was.
I mean, that might be one of the hardest hits we've ever seen on Derrick Henry. Yeah, I mean, I get it. You're 4-8. You lost the Colts. I mean, give it to the Colts. They didn't quit. They kept coming back and fighting and won the game. And now, but we knew this Titans team, I mean, it would be struggling. And now they're 4-8, and it's showing exactly what they are and who they are. Now you got to finish the last 5 games out and try to finish strong and see what you can do. And it's not easy when you got Miami and Jacksonville and Houston and Seattle as your remaining football games. But we all knew this was going to happen. I mean, this with the offensive line. The secondary's terrible. It was really terrible yesterday. Boy, Sean Murphy-Bunting. Who was the guy in the first quarter that Vrabel pulled out of the game, had the personal foul, and then they scored the next play? Who was that?
Yeah,
some guy I'd never heard of on this football team.
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I couldn't get the thing.
Well, regardless,
but he's a newer guy that they brought in this year. But yeah, that was one of those.
Why? I mean, that's stupid.
I looked at Ricky and I said, "That is don't do dumb bleep to hurt the team." That's what that is.
Well, he did a good job.
Yeah, I mean that was terrible. And you know, Vrabel talked about it a little bit, but I watched Vrabel's press conference.
Why?
Well, because I'm always curious what he says
I'm
after
kidding.
the
I
game.
know. I get it. Man, I get it.
He just looks so just get this thing over with. Like, you can just tell he's just done.
Well, I mean, it's probably that message. I do think now the message is falling on deaf ears. I really do now.
Right, because they know it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Deaf ears. Now you got guys playing for contracts. Maybe free agents, see what's next year. I mean, it's a tough position to be in for this Tennessee Titans football team right now. Now you go to Miami. Miami's, probably licking their chops to put up 80 on that secondary.
Tyreek Hill might put more yards up on his own than the entire Titans offense.
I mean, look, we laugh now, and we got a big announcement later in the week about this Miami Titans game, but a little teaser right there for you. But we laugh like they're going to beat them 80-0. It's one of those goofy games where the Titans always win that one goofy game each year. Every year they win one goofy game.
But I mean, like, if you're thinking about the future of the team, you don't want them to. I mean, right now they're in a pretty darn good position to get a top 5 pick.
Nobody cares on that team. Nobody in that locker room cares about that.
I know,
so
but I mean, I'm just
stop
saying,
talking about that.
Well, I'm saying for our argument's sake and what we talk about, that they need. I mean, look, I'd rather see them just tank the rest of the way and get a good player, and I think they have a quarterback. I mean, I don't think they have to get a quarterback, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it was. Nothing really shocks me anymore. Like if they go down to Miami and win that game.
Yeah. Can we stop this too? Because this really bugged me. A lot of people tweeting about the hit on Stonehouse. Like, why would you hit a punter that way? Let's just clarify this. When Stonehouse gets the ball in his hand, he's not a punter, okay? He's a guy with a ball in his hand. And the fact the Colts guy did not take his head off, I mean, be happy for that. I mean, it's bad enough that Stonehouse, I don't know how bad the injury is or what happened.
It did not look good.
But don't be mad at the refs or the Colts for doing that. You're a guy with a ball in your hand, right? Because it takes you forever to punt the ball off. Don't be mad at the refs or the Colts. I mean, the Colts saw a guy with a running back. Look, I played football. If I see a guy like that, a punter who's got the ball and is unabated to him, I mean, that's it. Tackle him cleanly and take him down. And so let's just stop that right now about that was a dirty hit, that was a bad hit. No, he just had this ball in his hand, and that was it.
Yeah.
It drove me crazy.
I agree. I mean, you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but it's a tough sport. That's what it is. We'll talk to Brett Kern at the bottom of the hour and get his thoughts on both of those sequences. And also, I mean, immediately when they missed that extra point, I made a mental note. I'm like, well, we got to ask Brett about just the mechanics that go through a field goal from the holder's perspective. I mean, Tannehill's not practicing that on a daily basis. I know he has, and I know he's held before, but that's a tough situation. You got to figure it out, and they didn't figure it out.
So we're blaming Tannehill from this extra point?
No. I mean, I think the sequence was off. The timing was off.
Well, you keep on the sidelines doing that, like you still
sure, but I mean,
practice.
Okay, and I don't know if that was happening or not, but the timing was clearly off on that whole sequence, and that has to do with you have a new holder. I mean, I'm not blaming Tannehill necessarily, but I mean there was something definitely off about that whole sequence.
Yeah, injuries happen. Be prepared to go and see what you can do, and and that was they got that point. I mean, that wasn't a deciding factor in the game, and who knows what would have happened after that. But fact is, they lost the football game and made Gardner Minshew look like Tom Brady for most of that game yesterday. By the way, Minshew just. Steady. I mean,
Trayvon Wallace, by the way. That's
Trayvon Wallace?
Yeah.
Okay. He should be on the waiver wire today. I would put him on the waiver wire.
He might be.
And send him down the pike and get rid of him. It's just a bad football team. Not as bad as 2014, 2015, but it's bad. I mean, it's up there. 2004 team and 5 was not good, but this team is worse than that. Not as bad as 2014. And not as bad.
Yeah, this is not the worst Titans team ever. Anybody saying that, you haven't been around very long.
It's pretty close. I think it's probably the second or
it's bad.
It's pretty bad.
Look, it's up there. I mean, it's semantics at this point, but it's definitely up there. That is for sure. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can weigh in on anything that we talk about today or you want to talk about. I mean, look, there's so many different ways to take today's show.
Right.
Which is very, very exciting. We'll spend more time on this, but it's going to be Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama as the top 4. Do you think they got it right?
No. I don't. I don't. I think that Florida, the first time ever, they took out a Power 5 undefeated conference champion. And I think Florida State got a raw deal. I really do. And you can argue me, and I don't care all day long, and I get all that, but I do. And this whole your quarterback's not going to play. Well, who cares? I mean, your team. I don't see how that factors in. I heard
it's criteria.
Robbie and Rexroad today. Your team, your record is what your record is. I mean, you're 13-0.
Look, I understand. I understand everybody in. For Jordan Travis to go to Twitter and apologize, you got nothing to apologize
right.
about.
And I get all that.
But here's what I'm going to say. The job of the committee, And this is why they are throwing in the white flag and they're bailing out of this and they're going to a 12-team playoff because it just gets more and more difficult every year. But the job is to name the top 4 teams right now, the top best, the 4 best teams in college football right now.
You don't think Georgia's the top 4?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I think Georgia should be in over Washington. And I'm sure Nick Barris is listening about the Pac-12, but Washington to me is going to be like TCU was last year.
Good point.
Now, I know TCU beat Michigan, but then they got boat raced by Georgia. I think Texas is going to have their way with Washington. I think Michigan-Alabama is going to be a hell of a football game.
At the Rose Bowl.
At the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, that you love. But to me, the best 4 teams in college football right now would have been Michigan, Texas, Alabama, Georgia.
Okay.
In my mind. Now, I understand why they didn't do it because and then it's makes all the reasons in the world of why they're expanding the playoff. Because Florida State and Georgia get left out. You know, they are certainly like could be in. Now, I don't think Florida State is a championship caliber team right now because they lost their quarterback. And they're back.
Even though they're 13-0 and
sure.
won the conference.
And that defense won the game against Louisville.
Okay. Well, it's still
For
part
sure.
of the team.
No, I understand. Look, I get it. But I personally, right now, without Jordan Travis, I don't think they're going to win a championship. Okay. And the committee thought that too. And so they got left out. I mean, could you not make an argument even with a one-loss Ohio State team that lost to Michigan that,
sure.
I mean, I think they certainly deserve.
Right. I see your points. I mean, there is no right answer. There's no wrong answer, just our opinions. And I think if you've gone through criteria for all those years about the Power 5 school wins the conference championship and undefeated, it's there. But this has different tentacles, and it goes really deep because the Alabama AD said something that really stood out to me yesterday. He said, had we scheduled a group of 5 team instead of Texas, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And I was like, oh, that's deep. Had they played Murray State, I mean, whoever.
Well, in Georgia, I think that was what hurt Georgia because of their strength of schedule.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, Alabama had a really tough, what was it, the fifth hardest schedule in the country?
I think so. I mean, and you add Texas in there, and it helps. I mean, it's not Georgia's fault they play in the SEC East where most of the teams are bad.
But it's Georgia's fault that they schedule 4 easy out of conference.
UT Martin.
Yeah.
I mean, Georgia Tech wasn't. I mean, they won, but I mean that's an annual game they play there. But I mean, there's a reason Archie Manning took himself off this committee years ago. I mean, there's a reason.
You couldn't pay me.
No, not at all. Well,
I mean, now you could.
Right?
Now you could. 12's easy, but like to me, and we can argue this until we're blue in the face. I wish they would have stair-stepped it and not just gone from 4 to 12. I thought about what if it was 6, okay? So if this year was 6 and you give Michigan and Washington a first-round bye, you would get Texas and Georgia, which would be fantastic, and then you get Alabama, Florida State.
All right, what about Oregon? I'm mad. What about Ohio State? I'm mad.
Okay.
So what we've done here is that we've made it to 12 teams to make everybody happy, right? Everybody's going to be happy.
Now it's a participation trophy.
Now it's 13th, and if I'm the 13th team, I'm going to be bitching. 14th bitching. We're just
right, but
eventually it's going to be 32, 40. I mean, it's watered down college football, and I hate it. I hate it.
Well, and here's the thing though, like the top 12 teams, like if they did the top 12, and then you got the 13th complaining, like okay. Yeah, I mean, you don't deserve to be in.
We're all in. Yay! I just hate it.
And what's going to be funny is like if you played the top, in 2 lanes in, okay, so you give a group of 5 an automatic bid. So if you play the playoff with 12 teams right now, guess what the Final Four probably ends up being?
That same Final Four. Right. Yeah.
I mean, it probably would be Michigan, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, somewhere in there, but like I mean, it probably all is going to work out of how it was anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, I mean, there's no right answer. And it was the chaos they didn't want. had Georgia just won the game, it'd been a lot easier for a lot of people, but they didn't. And so now you got it, and the question goes on and on. And, and Georgia's going to, well, I say this, but, they're playing that Orange Bowl, Georgia and Florida State. Does Florida State want to be there? How does Georgia want to be there? So you don't know what goes on there.
Well, I mean, look, the transfer portal, we got to talk about that too. The transfer portal, man. I mean, we knew it was going to be the Wild Wild West, but like even teams that are good players are like, okay, I'm out.
It's got to end somewhere, man. I mean, does Vanderbilt have any players left? Every time I get on Twitter, I see another Vanderbilt player's gone. And somebody made a good point on this as well. If you're leaving a school, just leave. Don't give the canned message.
Yeah.
Stop with the
social media thing.
I appreciate all the effort with that. I'm opening the portal. We don't care. We don't care. If you're leaving, just leave. It's like when somebody leaves Facebook, right? Oh, I've had enough. And I tell people, look, this isn't an airport. Nobody gives a damn about your departure, right? Nobody cares. If you want to leave, just leave. If you want to leave your school, that's okay. Just leave. We don't need to know reasons why. Just go.
615-737-1025. A lot on the table today. We're going to hit it all. Brett Kern going to join us at the bottom of the hour.
Kern.
We'll also talk to Scott Ramsey from the Nashville Sports Council and the Music City Bowl. He'll join us at 10 as the Music City Bowl is set. All the bowl games are set. We'll do that. Coming up, Chasing Big Joe on a Monday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing McKay, Big Joe Dubin with you on this Monday. Hope you're having a great day. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. If you want to weigh in on anything that we're talking about. A lot of texts on the text line right now. Viking Matt says, so the other 90-plus players on FSU don't matter. I think it's terrible. It's a team sport. And then you have Michigan, who was caught cheating, and they're in craziness.
It's a good point.
Yeah. I
can
mean,
argue with it.
okay, I'm going to say this. Just because, I know why they did what they did. I know why it's those four teams. And we can sit there and we can dissect this all we want. It doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with it or think they're right or think they're wrong.
Right.
I mean, I know why they did it. Like, this year was the year that if I was on that committee and I'm walking in to do the final vote, I'm going, oh, bleep.
We are real quick. We got a little breaking news out of Clarksville, and we got a lot of people listening to Clarksville. Football Scoop is saying that Scotty Walden is leaving Austin Peay to be the new head coach at University of Texas El Paso. He's done a great job at Austin Peay. He is from Texas. I learned about this last week, but didn't say anything. So it's Austin Peay. Good job, Walden. And so I guess Gerald Harrison, I think it's the AD, but I'll be looking for a new head coach at Austin Peay as Scotty Walden is now headed to UTEP.
I think that that's a good job. I think Austin Peay's a good job. I think
he's made it a good job,
right?
And they put a lot of money and resources into that program. But Walden's a hell of a coach.
Would you go up and comer, or would you maybe go find someone established that's just looking for a spot again?
Well, the AD there is a Philip Fulmer UT disciple, so he learned everything under them at Tennessee. So look for some kind of Tennessee connection. Maybe that's going to happen there. I don't know, but up and comer. And here's the thing: you got to know these schools. Tennessee Tech hired a new head coach, Bobby Wilder. He was at Old Dominion, hadn't coached in 4 years. So you have to. It depends on who impresses, who doesn't impress there. But you got to know now that a program like Austin Peay and these group of fives, no more of this. I'm going to be here 10, 12 years. I mean, you 3 to 4 years max. And if you lose them, you lose them, and then you go back and find somebody else. But Walden's a heck of a coach, and welcome to Conference USA, Scotty Walden.
Shane in the Borough, who texts a lot about the Preds, but makes a really good point. Or asks a good question, I should say, about college football playoff. He says, if expanding the CFP to 12 turns it into a participation trophy, how do you feel about the basketball tournament? And I've heard people bring this up before. My thing on that is there is deeper competition in basketball than there is in football.
Correct.
And you're going to have these smaller conferences with these schools that you've never heard of that actually have really good talent. Now, the state of college athletics and, the transfer portal and everything is going to hurt this. But, you have these unsung heroes that you don't know about, that these teams can actually make a deep run where you could have, a VCU that, again, we remember when VCU got on the scene, nobody knew who they were.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
And Shaka Smart and that whole group. And you could have them beat a blue blood. You could have them knock off somebody. I'll steal your example that we were just talking about. Eastern Illinois is not going to beat Alabama in football.
They're not. It's not going to happen. It's just not. I mean, two totally different sports. And that's a great point you're making there. But, and the basketball thing is, you're not – football, there's preparation. You just can't – basketball turns around the next day and plays – round 2 a day later. It's apples and oranges. I understand the question, but yeah, it is completely different.
If you did a 64-team football tournament, which one would be chaotic? But if you did that, the results would probably be the same.
Right, exactly.
Like you'd probably end up with the same, 4 to 6 teams.
You would, exactly, and that's exactly what would go on right there. And so I don't know. It's but you feel bad. You're reading this stuff about the Florida State kids. You feel bad about the Florida State kids. They did everything that the committee had always wanted: the Power 5, unbeaten conference champion, and not getting.
Look,
in.
I feel for them, and good on Norvell for being as honest as he was. Like he has every right to be pissed off.
Yep,
and I agree with the texter on. they're showing it right now, and you can just see the look on his face. Like the fact that it was Jordan. Like if Jordan Travis was healthy, they're in. It's not even a conversation.
I don't think they're in. Not at all. I don't think they're in. I think they knew Alabama. I think Alabama beating Georgia. They knew Alabama.
They would have left somebody. Texas would have probably gotten left out.
Nope, because Texas beat Alabama head to head. You had to leave. You had to account that for something.
But they were not going to leave the SEC champion out.
No, well,
they weren't.
Well, no, and
they shouldn't. Like we can have this discussion, and people are going to disagree with me, and they're going to call me an SEC homer, an SEC bias. That's fine. It's the best conference in college football.
Right.
It's the toughest schedule in college football based on, like, the Pac-12 is dead because of that.
Do you think TCU should have got in last year? They were not a conference champ. I mean, I don't think so.
I'm going to say probably not.
I mean, they ended up beating
and I think
Michigan. I get that, but
okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you think that the committee looked at TCU last year and said, well, we screwed up last year?
Absolutely.
So we have to overcompensate for it this year.
They'll never admit that, but absolutely they did.
Because I think they screwed up again with Washington. I mean, look, people are saying that Washington will give Michigan a game, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. I think that's TCU.
Okay, all right.
I think Michigan and Harbaugh is like middle finger salute to everybody right now.
Right.
And like is like y'all about to F around and find out. Like that's his whole demeanor and that team's whole demeanor. Right now. So like, Michigan and Alabama is going to be a great game. Now, I think Alabama can win that game, but I think Michigan is so determined then, and I think Texas is just as determined too because it's like Texas is back, and then they lose to Oklahoma, and then Texas is back, and because they beat Alabama, and I think Sark's a good coach. I'm glad that he's gotten his his stuff together because I think he's a good football coach, and he's proving it there in Texas. I mean, Ewers is supposedly coming back, and so what does that mean for Arch Manning? Does he transfer out?
We've talked about Arch Manning from. Did we talk about this?
Not really.
About Arch Manning from the sources down there. He's not good.
He's not
Peyton or Eli.
Right.
That's the rumor down in Austin. It's like he's not what they thought he was. But all right, so now the Final Four is settled. Who wins?
I mean, that's a really good question.
I think right now. I mean, although I thought Florida State should get in, and it's now what's done is done, and Alabama's in. I think this is so contradictory. There we go. Thank you so much for that. My McGavick mind got in my head. I think Bama wins the whole thing now. And I think Saban says, y'all take care.
Deuces.
Rumors out. I mean, the thing is he doesn't like the 12 team. He's not a fan of the NIL. How more fitting to go out like John Elway.
Have you looked at the spread at all?
And go, I'm not allowed to.
Well, I mean, you're allowed to
look at it.
Given
right? What is it?
What you think.
I think that you're handsome.
Okay. Thank you. Michigan is a 1.5 point favorite.
That's a pick 'em.
And and this is from ESPN Bet. And Texas is a 4-point favorite.
Okay.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think Bama, Michigan probably closes as a pick 'em because all the money is going to come in on Alabama.
I mean, we want Texas, Alabama.
Of course,
and that game's being played in Houston, I think.
Of course we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, 100% we want Texas, Alabama.
Yeah, and then Nick says I'm gone, and now it's like who's going to replace Nick Saban? I mean, who would replace Nick Saban in Alabama? Who would replace him? I'm telling you, if they win, he's gone. I'm telling you right now.
Okay,
on December the 4th,
3 years ago, I would have said Dabo. I'm not saying that anymore.
No, and don't say Kiffin. Don't give me Kiffin.
No.
Does Sarkisian come back? He's one of.
Why would you leave Texas?
And here's the thing. Why be Ray Perkins? If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Ray Perkins. Why be Ray Perkins?
I wouldn't leave Texas if I was him. You're going into the SEC. You got your team in the playoff. Like you're good right now. I wouldn't do that.
But who would? I mean, that's a great. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if the Alabama goes all the way, he's gone. He got that big beach house down in Florida now. He's
got
gone.
A spot on Lake Burton. That's a Norvell? You think Mike Norvell would leave Florida State for Alabama?
Well, now that he can't get in the college football playoffs, the Final Four, even though it's going to 12 and nobody cares.
I mean, here's the funny thing about that. Like, Jimbo left, won a national championship, and then Jimbo eventually left.
Yep.
And then the program went down, and now it's coming back up. Florida State's a good job.
It's a great job.
To me, that's a blue blood college football job.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing too is, like, if I'm one of these guys, thinking about this decision, like, do I want to be the guy to follow the guy?
No,
probably not.
No. But somebody will take that job.
Sure.
I mean, somebody will because they think they can get it done. But
Jimmy Frank.
That's actually a very.
I actually could see it.
That's that right now. That'd be number one. I can't stand James Franklin.
But I could see it.
Oh,
I could see him just weaseling his way into that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. That's number one. You hit it. That's right, Chase McCabe. I'll give you all credit.
There we go.
I get credit when Saban steps down. I'll give you credit when James Franklin takes over to Alabama. And y'all could call us crazy, but there ain't a lot of coaches out there that could step in that role and at least have that ego to stop it. Because he's playing they're playing Ole Miss, right? In the Peach Bowl or the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl?
I think I'm going to the Peach Bowl, actually.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, thanks for asking.
Well, I haven't asked you yet.
Oh, okay.
We'll go to break.
Okay.
We'll talk to Brett Kern, former Titans punter. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin here on this Monday. Titans fall in overtime yesterday to the Colts, and to talk more about that, we bring in former Titans punter Brett Kern here on the show. Brett, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Doing fantastic. I want to start with something that you can obviously speak on quite a bit. Ryan Stonehouse has the couple of punts blocked. He gets hurt, comes out of the game. Obviously, that means that you no longer have a punter, but it also means you no longer have a holder. So that extra point that Nick Folk misses, take us through the mechanics of that and how much that changes when your holder changes. Because obviously there's timing that, Ryan Tannehill probably hadn't practiced much or if at all, right. and that threw a lot of things off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Ryan, would take some reps throughout the week. Maybe not live reps, but maybe one of those things where he goes over maybe before practice, after practice, whatever timing's best, and, gets a couple snaps with Morgan real quick just to get the feel of it, Morgan's speed and all that kind of stuff. But as far as live reps, I'm sure he hasn't had any maybe never in the NFL, maybe going back to college. I don't know. So it's probably been a while for him. But it's one of those things where, timing's important. It's rhythm. It's probably one of those times you wish the extra point was back at the 2-yard line again because you could pretty much hold the ball however you want to, and the kicker's going to make it. So, but, when you're going back 38-yarder, laces are important, spots important, the wind. There's a lot of things that go into it. It's not just you catch it, you put it down, and he's automatically supposed to make it. So it's unfortunate. I'm obviously texted Stoney yesterday and just, praying for him because that's, to get away from one like you did is good. Not to get hurt, but the second one, that one didn't look so good. So hopefully he can heal up and come back.
Brett Kern is with us, and yeah, what did you see on both of those sequences? Technically, it's one block punt, and then the other one, I guess, was a rush. Is how they put it in the stat book. But what did you see on both of those?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, they did that overload over to the punt team's right side, and they just created a numbers issue. It's a 3 call, might even been a 4 call actually, where you get 3 or 4 guys outside the guard, and somebody, Morgan has to get way over there. And then the guard from the other side actually has to come over as well. And it's a very tough rush. It's one that, we worked on every week. Even if the team that we were playing against, they never showed it on film. It's just one of those rushes that's probably the hardest to block. Because you're really putting that wing and tackle on the outside, kind of in no man's land. And you think that you're supposed to have the one, and he goes, it's the one, but then there's just a mismatch of numbers, and the 2 came free right up the middle. And obviously and blocked the punt. The second one, they kind of did the same thing, except they brought it out from the jammer. And that's one of those things where the PP, if he sees them, you check easy. Hey, let's recount him in. He's now the 1, right? And so the wing knows that that's his guy. But in that case, the PP didn't do it. And unfortunately, that becomes an operation thing where you just got to catch the ball and get it off because that man's going to be unblocked. But it happens so fast. I don't think I've ever seen on film or whether it's in practice the timing of that. Obviously enough to where it didn't even count as a block punt because he took it out of Stoney's hands, which then became a fumble. You get protection, but you only get protection after you punt the ball. He's still another player back there until he punts it, and then obviously you get protection around your feet and your body. But he just took it right out of his hand, which I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
So our listeners certainly pay attention, and they knew you were coming on, and of course are asking the question. So if Stoney is out for a significant amount of time and they called, would you consider it?
I felt bad because I felt like I could have, if I was a fan, a spectator at the game, when that injury happened, I felt like I could have hopped out there in my street clothes and gone out there and held for that extra point because that was such a vital point. But the punting, I'm in great basketball shape right now. I'm playing a lot of basketball, really good, dinking in the kitchen and pickleball. But as far as punting a football, I retired for a reason. So I haven't touched the ball, football, NFL ball since the Super Bowl week of last year. And So, when that happened yesterday, my kids were like, "Oh, let's go outside and punt some footballs, Dad. Who knows? You might get a call." And so I'm out there in my church clothes and in my boots that I wore to church, and just fooling around punting. My son's trying to catch them, and it was a good time. But and then I woke up this morning, and I then remembered why I retired, because I was sore just from the 15 punts that I had with a junior ball. So.
Well, they didn't answer the question.
No.
Nice job.
I got a call, so I know. I don't know what's going on with the whole situation. But we'll see.
When you talk about, I remember New England earlier this year, Brett did that where they brought the gunner up to the side and he timed it perfectly, and that was early on this season. When you're watching film, I mean, do you watch for things like that? I mean, not that, but like, all right, this guy likes to shoot this gap. They like to overload this side of the line of scrimmage. Do you watch it like that, or are you just concerned about just punting the ball?
I do, yeah, because there's special teams coaches out there, that have their tendencies, and so you kind of have to be aware from that. And sometimes too, with special teams, it's they kind of joke around like it's a copycat league, like. So teams will see that rush that Indy did, and they'll say, hey, so-and-so team that we're playing is kind of similar to Titans. They might have a tight end at the wing. We really feel like we can take advantage of this. And so they'll actually take the rush that Indy used, and they'll use it against whoever they're playing. And so, we watched a ton of film just on other teams and their rushes and their schemes and personnel. Some teams like to take linebackers and rush running backs, or if you have a wide receiver to wing, we're going to take a linebacker, somebody that's heavier that can't necessarily block or set with somebody that big. Some teams, ask Morgan, they'll take a big old D lineman. I remember when J.J. Watt would be out there and he would try to rush that A gap on the snapper, and it was just miserable, and I know the Texans sometimes they'd put J.J. Watt and Clowney back in his prime, if you want to call it that. They'd put him both at the A gap and just rush on the center and make his life just miserable. So there's a lot of film work, a lot of watching. You look at the punter and you say, hey, what types of punt is he hit? What punts is he hitting? Are they deep, 50, 60, 70 yarders? Can we get a return? Is he slower? Can we really rush? What is he like against an 8-man rush? Does he get uncomfortable? I could go on and on, give you a dissertation on it, but to answer your question, there's a ton of film study, and I watched a lot of it. So
you had a good point earlier. A lot of people went, of course, go to social media and were like, well, that when the Colts guy hit Stonehouse that last one and injured him, they said he shouldn't have done that because he was a punter. But you made a good point. Until you punt the ball, you're just a guy with a football in your hands, correct?
Well, I mean, if that's the case, I could catch the ball. It's not college, right? Where you can catch the ball, you can roll out because everybody can go. The rules are totally different. I can't in the NFL. I can't just catch the ball and stand back there. I'm another player, and so when you catch it, you have to get it off. And once your foot, that's why it's so key. Like the first punt was a block because Stonehouse hit it, and then after the ball made contact with his foot, and the Indy player blocked it. Well, then he hit ball first before he hit Stonehouse. If he would have whiffed and not hit the ball, and Stonehouse would have gotten the ball off, and then he ran into Stonehouse, well, that'll be a big time 15-yarder. That's not the 5-yard run into kind of the softie that they call. But that guy took the ball off Stonehouse's hand, which is just the same as Stonehouse being a quarterback back there, receiving a snap and trying to throw the ball. There's no difference, and so you don't see it very often just because the timing of that. You're looking at somebody doing something in 1.75 seconds, right? And rushing, roughly 10 to 11 yards to make that play. So he's free game until that ball hits his foot.
Real quick before we let you go, what did you think about we saw DeAndre Hopkins was targeted 12 times. He had 5 receptions. He had the big touchdown there at the end of the game, but there was a little bit of an exchange between Will Levis and DeAndre on the sideline. You see that from time to time, but what have you made about that connection to this point early in Will Levis's career?
I mean, I think it's great. You kind of look at what Minshew had and Pittman yesterday, right? And the relationship that they've had. I feel like every quarterback kind of needs, that blanket, that security guy, the guy that they know that they could throw to. They're going to be open. If it's zone coverage, and they got choice routes, They know that they're going to make the right decision. And, the quarterback is expecting him, to run those kind of routes that he has to. And so the trust level is there, which is really great to see. I feel like for Will, early on in his career to have somebody like that, especially a guy that's, personally, I think he's going to wear a gold jacket. That's good for him. And I'm glad that he has that. And hopefully, that relationship, to see him on the sidelines kind of bickering at each other it's good. Obviously I know DeAndre's been helping him out. And so I think that's good for Will to have somebody like that.
Well, going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out with Monday night next week against the Dolphins. Appreciate this, Brett. Talk to you soon.
All right. Y'all take care.
All right. Brett Kern, former Titans punter, with us here on the program. We'll react to some of that and talk more.
Wait, you got to call him. The Titans have to. I mean, he's down the street.
Sure.
He's still a hell of a punter, even though he punted.
I mean, I was just looking at free agents out. I mean, like, there's not a lot of options.
No. And he knows how to hold.
Yeah. Right.
So,
and he knows, he talked about Morgan Cox, the long snapper, and how,
yep.
He obviously knows that aspect of it.
Is there a number 6? Or does he have to get another Titan?
Nick Folk is wearing number 6. So.
Ooh, fight. Kern. And can you imagine that if they fought? That would just add to the drama of this football team.
So we'll see. We'll react to some of that and much more, including something that I've never seen before that happened yesterday. Talk about that next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game, broadcasting from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Well, this music's appropriate for this. Preds fans, don't miss this Wednesday night Smashville live show at Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue at 6 o'clock. You can see Predator star players up close and personal and get autographs and pictures. This week's special guests are Cody Glass and Colton Sissons, a.k.a. The Glue Guy. Smashville Live is brought to you by the Black Abbey Brewing Company. So looking forward to that.
Do you want to do this real quick?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right. So
We're
I'm
going
going
to talk to Scott Ramsey here in a few minutes about the Music City
Oh, that's a
Bowl.
good lead in. All right. I'm going to tell Chase. I'm going to ask Chase to. I'm going to name a bowl game, and Chase will tell me where this bowl is taking place. All right. Ready? Where's the Cure Bowl playing? Featuring Miami, Ohio versus Appy State. The Cure Bowl.
Is it somewhere in Ohio?
That will be in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Where's Independence Bowl?
The Independence Bowl is in Louisiana, I think. Shreveport?
That a boy. The famous Toastery Bowl featuring Western Kentucky and Old Dominion. Famous Toastery
Bowl?
Mhm.
Texas? Somewhere in Texas?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
The Gasparilla Bowl featuring Georgia Tech and UCF.
You can hear that on one of our stations.
Gasparilla.
I have no idea.
Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
The Camellia Bowl.
Is that San Diego?
That will be in Montgomery, Alabama.
Close.
The Armed Forces Bowl.
Now, I've been to that one. That's at TCU.
That a boy, Fort Worth. This is 68 Ventures Bowl. Featuring South Alabama and Eastern Michigan. 68 Ventures.
That one is in Mobile, Alabama.
That a boy. Good job. You got it right.
I pulled that out of my
You did. The Quick Lane Bowl. Featuring Minnesota and Bowling Green.
Detroit?
That a boy. Good job.
Okay.
The First Responder Bowl. Texas State and Rice.
Yeah. Houston?
University Park, Texas. I'll give you credit. It's in
Okay.
Texas. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Good Lord. Kansas UNLV.
Is that San Diego?
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
The Military Bowl.
Maryland?
Annapolis. Good job. Duke's Mayo Bowl.
That's in Charlotte.
The Holiday Bowl.
That's Petco. San
That's
Diego.
right. That's right. This is weird. The Texas Bowl.
That's I think Dallas.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. The Pinstripe Bowl.
That's Yankee Stadium.
Pop-Tart Bowl. That's the bowl I'd love to be in. Brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
I would weigh one day when I'm just done with life, I'm just going to eat Pop-Tarts and see if I can get to 750
Do you have any
pounds.
eligibility left?
Yeah.
So you could put some weight on and then go play O-line for Vanderbilt.
I
That could
could,
use you.
they don't have the Pop-Tart Bowl.
The Pop-Tart Bowl.
Kansas State, NC State.
I was just looking at these two. I don't know.
Orlando.
Okay.
This one drives me insane. Tony the Tiger Bowl. Because for years it was something else, and it was always just a weird bowl, and they always played it on New Year's Eve. But it's not New Year's Eve anymore. Tony the Tiger Bowl. And always one team did not want to be, the other team beat the snot out of them.
Miami.
El Paso, the Sun Bowl.
Oh, that's the Sun Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ReliaQuest Bowl.
Phoenix.
Tampa.
Okay. How many bowls does Tampa have? My God.
Well, when you want to go down there, I would. And that's it, because the rest is Fiesta, Orange, Peach, Cotton, on and on and on.
Okay.
But you know what? As one coach told me one time, there's no such thing as a bad bowl game.
Nope. I mean, you get something for it.
You sure do.
That is for sure. I mean, it'd be a fun little experience. Speaking of bowls, the Music City Bowl is coming to our city December 30th. It'll feature Auburn and Maryland, the TransPerfect Music City Bowl. We'll talk to Scott Ramsey more on that next. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game. Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. He's Big Joe Dubin, Chase McCabe, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier with you as well. On this Monday, coming up December 30th, 1 o'clock, Nissan Stadium, the TransPerfect Music City Bowl features the Auburn Tigers and the Maryland Terrapins. They will be here. We say hello to Scott Ramsey from the Nashville Sports Council and, of course, the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, who helps put it all together. Scott, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you guys today?
We're doing fantastic. So you got your matchup. I know it's almost like Christmas morning for you and your team when you find out the two teams that are going to be here.
Yeah, it is, Chase. It's the last couple of weeks, and we've talked historically. You're just running a lot of what if scenarios, so you're ready for yesterday. And in today's world of instantaneous information, it's you just got to be prepared. So at that point, you're just kind of ready to say, hey, which one is it so we can get going? And yesterday was that. And, we're excited today. I think, certainly the Auburn fans have really traveled well to Nashville and supported their team. And it's a great fit there, especially with the game being on Saturday, to really maximize the Auburn fans to get a chance to see them play. And then, Maryland will be a first-time participant in the bowl. And, we were a longtime partner with the ACC, but we never lined up with Maryland, and now they're with the Big Ten, and a chance to expose our city to a new fan base, which is one of the mission objectives of the bowl, to really kind of utilize that as a big tourism opportunity. And we feel pretty confident that the Maryland fans are excited about coming to our city.
And I'll tell you this too, Scott. I love it's on a Saturday, and I love the 1 o'clock kickoff. I think that's just a perfect time to kick things off here in Nashville.
Yeah, it is. You're dictated by the schedule and the calendar every year and how things line up. But this year's a really good one, to your point, Chase. And, to kind of think we're only one of 3 college games on that day with the Peach and then ultimately the Orange Bowl behind us. So, a lot of great football that day, and to be one of 3 games and be on ABC is a huge opportunity to showcase our city. And, we're looking forward to that opportunity, and we think it kind of maximizes the opportunity for fans to come and have fun in Nashville, but also attend the game and follow their team.
Talking to Scott Ramsey, National Sports Council. And, Scott, I love the answer yesterday when I asked you last night about how the Georgia-Alabama game affected the Music City Bowl. Do you mind explaining that again?
Yeah, it's tough to be real concise on it, Joe, as I said yesterday, but kind of how the process works. Every conference has a different selection process, if you will. In the olden days, it was really a draft order, and it was really dictated by how much you paid out. And you got locked in, and at the time you picked. But now I think we've gotten much more creative on trying to put the right teams in the right cities in the right year to kind of give the fans a different feel for a different matchup and a different city, and give the cities, a chance to expose their city to different fan bases. So really going into championship weekend, there's a lot of twists and turns. The first thing is who gets in the New Year's Six? Well, the New Year's Six is comprised of a mix of at-large by ranking, and some are by contract. So the one that impacted us most directly was who was going to be the ACC opponent in the Orange Bowl, and that's the highest ranked either SEC or Big Ten team that's not their champion. So had Georgia won, obviously you felt like Ohio State was going to stay ahead of Alabama, which would put the Big Ten in there. Had that happened, the Big Ten was going to vacate their spot in Tampa, which would have given us the second pick in the Big Ten behind the Citrus Bowl. If the SEC, which turned out to be the case with Georgia in there, then the Big Ten was going to fill Tampa, and we would have had the third pick. So there's a lot of moving parts that you can't really connect the dots without kind of walking some people through. So that's why we have to really kind of wait it out and see what happens. And we had plans ready for both teams, and where there's going to be probably either Wisconsin or Maryland based on who Tampa was going to select. And it's the way it kind of plays out usually on Sundays.
I love the fact that you got a brand new school, Maryland, coming to Nashville. That's a good football team that took Michigan down to the wire right there. What was it like calling Maryland and saying, "Hey, welcome to Nashville," or "You're coming to Nashville"? What was that like?
Yeah, they're excited. I think, and I said this to you last night too, Joe. it's kind of pretty prideful when you get to call and people are so excited about coming to our city. I think it makes you feel really good about Nashville and people's interest in coming here. And hey, we know Maryland is not typically a geographical, fit for Nashville, but they're so excited about coming. They haven't been here. They haven't played Auburn since 1983, which featured Boomer Esiason and Bo Jackson. So, I think the matchup is unique. They had a 20% increase in their average home attendance this year. So they're excited about football. Do we expect to sell out? No, I think you got to be reasonable. But, man, when you start thinking about 10, 15, 20,000 people coming and spending a week here from a market that we can expose our city to that hasn't been here yet, that's one of the missions of the game. So I think we're really excited about that. They're excited about coming, and we're looking forward to having them.
Scott Ramsey is with us from the TransPerfect Music City Bowl and the Nashville Sports Council. It's more than just a football game. When you come to our city, there's always different activities surrounding the bowl. So what can fans look forward to?
Well, I think it's always kind of, Broadway's Broadway, Chase, as you know. And
he knows.
I've never experienced that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, ask Joe. He can help you there. I think early in our kind of formation of the bowl, we tried to maybe over program things. And our feedback was we like some free time because fans just want to experience the city, and so do the kids. So, we kind of balance that out over the 3 or 4 days they're here. I think one of the great assets we have, which we know living here, is Gaylord Opryland. They host both teams for us, but we got sound waves out there for the players. Jeff Jarrett does a wrestling event, a true setup, 3-match wrestling event for each team. We incorporate some Wounded Warriors and J9 and Folds of Honor veterans and Gold Star families with them on that. And then the fans, we really kind of focus in on the night before. We have our Battle of the Bands on Broadway. We host an event for the parents of all the players, so they get to know both, and both teams are in there, so they get to meet and mingle the other parents. We have a great party that night with our sponsors, and then we got a big tailgate party the day of the game, which will be in the morning leading up to the 1:00 game. So, we're really blessed that we've got a city that can kind of be our city, which is the destination, and not have to try to create events that are kind of, one-off and try to drive people there. So we balance it out. We host a VIP dinner for the administrators on the stage of Grand Ole Opry. We take the coaches' wives to the Bluebird. So we really kind of use unique assets we have here in Nashville to showcase our city.
Scott, also, I loved hearing this last night, how your little bowl game has generated more than $400 million in revenue for our city. I just found that fascinating, Scott.
Well, Joe, we've been here the whole time, and when we started this in 1998, I don't think we really expected to average over $16-17 million in direct spending between Christmas and New Year's in Nashville in 1998. And now you look at that week with the New Year's Eve event being added about 10 years ago and averaging about 55 to 60,000 folks in the stadium, and a 3.5-hour infomercial for our city on ESPN. It's just been exceeded expectations. And certainly the economic and the tourism value is one of the reasons we started the game. And it's really paid off in spades. And I think that week, if you really look at it from the business perspective, there's not really a convention out there if we don't have the bowl to replace it with 35,000 out-of-towners that we average. So, it's just really a great use of the stadium, great use of our city, and we're excited about what's been generated, and then also with the new stadium coming, future opportunities as we look ahead.
I just think you guys do such a great job of putting the city on the map, and I know the hard work you guys do. So it's thank you from all of us here in Nashville for that 3-hour infomercial, because it's a beautiful thing, and seeing all that on ESPN and just all the things that surround the bowl. You guys do such a good job.
Well, we're like I said last night, I think we're blessed to kind of be able to kind of be part of it. But really, it's kind of the city, our volunteers, our staff, Gaylord Opryland, the downtown, the stadium, Nissan Stadium, the Titans that kind of work with us on game dates. So there's so many people that kind of have been a part of making the event pretty special, and I think that's one of the things that we do well in our city is I think everybody gathers around when we've got something that we're proud of and put their piece in on it. And so it's been a great 25 years, our 26th game, and I think we're going to welcome a new fan base and a fan base that's very familiar with Nashville, and it'll be a great blend of those two this year.
Well, we're looking forward to it, Scott, and airing it here and being partnered up with you. Going to be a fun one, and we will talk a little bit closer to it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
You too. Scott Ramsey, Nashville Sports Council, and the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, which will be December 30th in our city. 1 o'clock at Nissan Stadium. If you'd like to win a pair of tickets to that game between Auburn and Maryland, you can be caller number 5 right now at 615-737-1025. We'll hook you up with a pair of tickets to the TransPerfect Music City Bowl on Saturday, December 30th. How about that?
Well done.
Hey, how about that? Ain't that
Yeah, how
something?
about that? Coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans' loss yesterday and what it means moving forward. And also, I'll mention the thing that I've never seen before. I forgot to get to that. We'll do that next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. You can join us on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com at 615-737-1025. Broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Titans get beaten overtime yesterday, Joe. And, I mean, again, it was a good game. Titans led most of the way, but I'll steal a line from Rick Merritt, who I was watching the game with. They are playing not to lose. They got conservative in the second half. Right. weren't really doing a whole lot, and they lose 31-28 in OT. This is the first time I have ever seen this. A 2-point conversion return for, I guess, a safety is how you would score it. But Amani Hooker intercepts it in the end zone after Indy scored. They were going for 2, and he runs it back. That was a huge play.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, look, if the Titans make that extra point, they probably win the game. After they scored again. But
woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Woulda, coulda,
Should have done a lot
shoulda.
of things in that game to do that. That's interesting. You hardly ever see a 2-point conversion return. Off that. So that was kind of good. But it's good for Amani Hooker. It's a stupid play by the Colts. I don't know why the shovel pass, why Minshew had to throw over his head instead of just getting it in there. Sometimes guys look to be too cute, or offenses do. But in result, you lose 31-28. Now, what was this with Sean Murphy bunting on? He tweeted something last night how a couple of Titans fans went at him. I mean, it was pretty vicious.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw them. I mean, like, and look, anybody that starts that crap and DMs somebody, like, telling them to go kill themselves, like that.
But it was that times like 50. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah, but
would you go up to Sean Murphy bunting at Golden Corral and say, look, man, you would not do that,
you
because
wouldn't.
Sean Murphy bunting would put you 6 feet under.
I call those people keyboard warriors, but I would never, if there was a player like
Let's call him out.
Chase Utley, for instance, used to play for the Phillies and the Dodgers. I hated Chase Utley. Like, I couldn't stand him as a baseball player. Could not stand him. But I would never have gone up. If I had ever met him, I would have been like, hey. And I'd be like, go Braves. It would have been like something like that. Be like, man, you give my Braves a hard time. But I wouldn't be like, screw you, man. I hope you die. I don't feel that way about him. It's
sure.
a game. It's a player.
Because you're a good human being.
Like, the fact that anybody would, like, think that of, some of the messages that were
Can I
out
call
there,
this guy out? I
Go
don't
ahead.
care. Jake Clements
just censor it.
says to Sean Murphy bunting, kill yourself, you worthless
Bleep.
bleep. Penalty on the sack, and then you get cooked to lose the game. You're a blank, 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 blank. All right, so Jake Clements, you're proud of yourself today. Let's see the other one we can find here. We'll call you out on this. Jackson Price, he says, Jackson Price. All right, Jackson, hope you have a good day. Jackson to Sean Murphy Bunting says, I hope you tear your ACL next game and it ends your career. Can you imagine going to that and sending that to somebody?
Here's my favorite part, and it's always the same with those.
Unbelievable.
If you go look at the first guy, it's a picture of him and his wife and kids.
It is.
It's like this wholesome little family, and he's like calling this guy derogatory terms and saying, go kill yourself.
Jackson Price is frolicking in the snow with his dog. Nice.
Just like, my goodness.
This guy's got 1,000 followers too doing that stuff. So anyway, if you see Jackson Price and Jake Clements, tell them we said hi today, because we were
Give them
calling
a hug. They need something.
these people out, man.
Yeah, no, look, that goes too far. It's just ridiculous. These guys are players. And look, it's one thing to say a guy sucks or they're not very good, but there's a line. And like, if you're a true fan, you're not going to cross that
No,
line.
not at all. You ever booed the home team? You ever booed the Titans or the Preds? You ever booed them?
Probably at some point.
Okay.
I mean, not like it's probably more in a frustrating way. Like, okay, for instance, I was at the game when Vrabel put Malik Willis back in after he'd fumbled the snap. I didn't boo, but I was like, Vrabel, what are you doing? Get him out of the game.
I want an actual boo. I mean, we all question that move, but I want an actual boo.
I mean, I probably have.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I've probably booed after a pick, or if they're like playing poor. I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't think I ever have. I think I've never been that invested in that.
But I mean, I think some of the difference between me and I think in this town it's unique. Like, there are media members that they're here covering the team because that's their job, and they're covering the team. I grew up a fan, so I'm still a fan, and I made the decision when I got into this. I got into this business because I was a fan, And I made the decision when I, was trying to decide, and you and I actually talked a lot about this because you were, one of my mentors.
Thanks, buddy.
In that I'm going to be true to who I am. Like, I'm still a fan. So I think my passion comes out when I'm talking about the Titans or the Predators or whatever because I am a fan. But I don't take it that far. Now, do I believe there are certain players that I'm like, you're just not very good and don't need to be here anymore?
Right.
Sure. But that's different in
Do you ever
being
see
derogatory.
You ever seen a media member meltdown? Like they're so invested in the team, they said they're not, and they do. I'll give you an example. I was covering the Tennessee-Florida game in 2009. Jonathan Crompton fumbled going in on like a quarterback sneak, and the guy next to me was a longtime media member in Chattanooga, hit the desk where we were sitting 4 times hard, and then yelled at a GD when Crompton fumbled. And everybody looked our direction and thought it was me. It's like, no. Even Hope Hines looked over at me. I was like, no, it's not me. It's the guy next to me. And he got so mad, his wife tried to calm him down. He's like, I will not calm down. And he walked out of the press box.
I have
I was like, okay, man.
No, I have had to catch myself a couple times. Like if I've been, and that honestly, that's one reason why now at this point in my career, I don't necessarily cover. I don't want to go and cover as much anymore. I mean, I obviously am paying attention to talk about it, here on the radio. But I was at the game yesterday, sitting in the stand, so I could get frustrated or be excited. But there was one time, and I'm trying to remember. Okay, I know exactly when it was. Do you remember the Titans were playing the Lions at Nissan Stadium, and this was – I mean, this would have – I think Munchak was the coach, but Alan Lowry was still the special teams coach, and they ran home run throwback.
Okay, it'd been 2012,
something like that. But they ran the play how it was supposed to be run, but it was the Music City because Lorenzo Neal wasn't supposed to field the ball necessarily. He could have, but
right.
So they ran home run throwback, and I saw it in a lot of people because it was just such an unexpected play, and I was like, what a play. It was kind of like that.
I have to check that game out. I got admonished by an NHL official when Mike Fisher scored that in overtime.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, yeah. He's like, you're supposed to be unbiased. And I said, not tonight.
Yeah.
Because I was not. Because that game over at 1:30 in the morning, I was like.
I think a lot of people were cheering because, the game's finally over.
Right.
We can go home.
So I did that. I mean, there are times and places and all that. And I get that. But the guy at the Tennessee-Florida game who just kept banging on the table and told his wife that I will not calm down. When everybody thought it was me, it makes me laugh to this day because you get frustrated, and I get all that stuff. But as they'll remind you in a press box, according to the pro writers, whatever, you're not allowed. And I'm really glad that is a rule in there because there are a lot of homers that get in those press boxes.
Yeah. Well, I laugh too. Remember when the Vegas Golden Knights came into the league and their social media manager accused Nashville media of cheering in the press box, and then I think that social media manager was no longer employed after that. But that became a thing for a while.
What was the one you guys out there remember with this when? And I know Josh Cooper didn't mean to do this, but they were yelling Frosty, and they're playing the Penguins. He thought they were yelling Crosby.
Oh, yeah.
And he got just drugged for that. Man, that was not good. But
recently in the League's Cup, there was a Miami, I guess, reporter of some sort, an elderly man, more on the older side of human being,
55, like me.
somewhere around that. And anyways, he had a cigar in his pocket. He goes, "Anybody have a lighter?" I was like, "Can't smoke inside, man. Just to let you know." It was right after they won in the PKs. I didn't say it. I think one of the other media members, they're like, "Can't smoke inside, man."
Right.
It just was not professional at all.
Coy in Clarksville says, some people need their ass whipped. People who say stuff like that have never been in a fist fight. I think that's 100% true.
Oh, absolutely.
They get destroyed. If somebody
Jake Clements.
If Jake Clements said that to somebody straight up,
no doubt.
They'd be in traction.
Yeah. But the fact that you wish somebody would tear their ACL and your career's over with.
Just dumb.
Oh, man. So that was Jackson Price. So Jackson Price and Jake Clements, hope you guys are having a good day.
Yeah, please do. 615-737-1025. We'll have more coming, including the college football playoff being set and the controversy with that. Do that all coming up. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
What is Glory Day Sports?
Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big. I just said that. Just repeating myself.
Say it again, though.
Chasing Big Joe, chasing Big Joe.
Vanderbilt's lost another player to the portal. DeRicky Wright says, I'm out of here. Take care of yourself. As we said earlier, if you're leaving your school, don't send me some canned message. I don't care how blessed you were to play at a school. I don't care how honored you were. Yeah, nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. Just go on and leave and go do your own thing in the next thing. Like I've told you before, all those people on Facebook who say, I'm leaving Facebook. And I always say, Facebook isn't an airport. Nobody cares about your departure time. If you want to go, just go. You want all the drama, like, oh, where are you going? Come back. Just go. Just leave. No more canned messages. We get it. Goodbye.
So let's see. By my count, all 3 quarterbacks are in the portal. London Humphreys, the wide receiver, is in the portal. Will Shepard's in the portal. It's Ricky right now, and I know I'm missing some.
Humphreys?
Yeah, London Humphreys.
As you just said?
Mm-hmm.
I need to pay more attention to the
Yeah,
show.
you do. Yeah, that's okay.
Right.
Freshman offensive lineman.
Yeah. And McGowan's in the portal
My
as well.
goodness.
Jerry McGowan. I mean, they've lost everybody. And look, I heard the morning show bring this up. I've noticed in all of their, posts that you're giving them crap for, their goodbye posts or whatever, they're not thanking a certain part of things. They're not thanking the coaching staff.
Not at all. That's weird, right?
And it's weird and concerning. I mean, what is going on? Like, I think that is that is certainly a valid question to ask with this mass exodus that they have right now. But, I pull for Clark Lee. He's a Vandy guy. Like, he's been very good to us, so I want to see him turn this around. But, man, it's just tough right now. Like, I mean, they've lost everybody.
I mean, so what do you do? I mean, now you got
2 wins. I mean, can they –
you got to go to the portal, get your own stuff. I mean, you got to go out and sign guys out of high school. I mean, it's a tough situation. The portal has really done a number on a lot of different things. But you know what? If you want to go, you want to go and take care of yourself. But I'm tired of your messages. These kids.
I mean, yeah,
Who cares?
But
I don't care. I don't care. You were blessed to play on.
But
West
but
End.
I mean, they're doing it on purpose, and you know that they're doing it on purpose because even though one, I think is it tomorrow that the transfer portal officially opens?
Something like that. It's so
but
confusing.
I mean, there's so much back channel stuff that happens that they're putting it on social media because it's like, I'm just letting you know I'm entering the portal. Wink,
Right.
wink, nudge, nudge.
I'm getting
Just
out of here.
I'm gonna be out there.
Yeah, and I'm still confirming. We're going to hopefully have on a college coach tomorrow to kind of help us navigate all that's going on because it's chaos, man. I mean, there's a lot of things going on there, and guys leaving.
McCord, the starting quarterback at Ohio State's entering the portal.
Yep.
Like, that's where this has gotten to now, that it used to be, like, no offense to, Vanderbilt or whatever, but the teams that had not been doing well or, were kind of middle of the pack, you'd see the good players transfer out because they'd want to go to a Georgia or Alabama. Like, remember when Henry Toto, I thought was a standout at Tennessee? I think it was a big mistake him leaving Tennessee. I do.
Yeah, went to Bama.
Now, I think, is he with the
What was his last
Texans? Toto?
name? I like Toto.
Toto? We're not in
Toa.
Kansas anymore.
Bob Kessling can never pronounce it anyway. So
Right, but he's in the league, I think. But I feel like had he stayed at Tennessee, his draft stock might have been higher. But whatever. But now it's just like even a good player on a good team is like, this isn't. Have an argument with the coach. I'm out.
Yeah, that's it.
So like I think what is it? Oklahoma, their starting quarterbacks transferring, and Ohio State.
Yes. Yep. That's
Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, if you want to
It's
get in there,
free agency.
yeah, it's exactly what it is.
UCLA's freshman quarterback who split reps this year is in the transfer portal.
Yeah. I mean, I think Arch Manning will transfer from Texas. Whether he's good or not, I mean, he's going to.
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
if
he's gotta do
Ewers
something.
is coming back, which that's what I've read, that's the rumor that he's going to come back for a year,
Right.
that he's been advised to play one more year at college. And I think he's pretty good. I think he looks like a true NFL prospect.
Well, I don't like the whole you can play 4 games and still be redshirted. To me, I mean, it used to be like if you took a snap, you were done.
Yeah.
You burned that year right there. Now it's 4 games?
It's 4 games, so you
Ugh.
can do that. Like, so, you can have at least 5 years of eligibility. We're seeing a lot of guys because of COVID and then injury waivers and, other things, loopholes, get the 6th year. I mean, there's guys that, like Stetson Bennett, that won 2 national championships at Georgia. I mean, I think he was in college for 8 years. Like, he was like me. And I know why. I was in college for
right.
6 years.
Right.
Like, because we know why, but like I feel like with Stetson Bennett, he was there because he was in Georgia and then he transferred and then he transferred back. And
Right. I think next year's the last year of the COVID year, so
Probably.
it'll kind of back to get normal going on. But I mean, I know like if you're in the portal, you lose your scholarship.
yeah,
So if you're happy at school X and you get in the portal, well, I can take your scholarship from you.
sure.
You can go out and look around and come back and say, I want to come back. No, I got that scholarship. So there is some
Yeah, but here's
little
the
danger zone when you pop out there.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and you and I both know. You know what I'm about to say. It depends on who you are.
Sure.
If you are Mr. 5-star and you live up to it and you get into a little spat with a coach or whatever and you go kind of look around. Now, chances are if you're that, you're probably going to land somewhere else. But if you don't, because it gets so log jammed that you only have so many spots and so many scholarships, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, after further evaluation, like one of these Vanderbilt guys, I will not be surprised if after – talking it over with my family and looking at my options, I've
one of those,
decided that
right?
Vanderbilt is still the best fit for me. Like that wouldn't surprise me if something like that happens. If you're really good and the team that you're trying to leave and then you ultimately end up staying with, they're going to look at you and go, okay, yeah, whatever, here you go.
Right.
Figure it out with the team, with the locker room. And now I am, now if I'm one of those guys, if I'm a leader on one of those teams and I stay and I see it through, and Nick Frazier decides like, hey, I'm going to transfer, and then ultimately ends up coming back and be like, hey, homie, like what's the deal here? Like what? We weren't good enough. Now you want to come back?
And I think that's why you see a lot of players, post those things on social media like, hey, coach, appreciate
Sure.
you doing X, Y, Z for me. It's just their little, I guess, hall pass to go back to the program they were at.
but that's what I'm saying with the Vanderbilt guys. They're not doing that. Like they're not
Right.
thinking, which is
Well,
concerning.
here's what I just read. College football's 30-day winter transfer portal window is officially open, so players have until January the 2nd, 2024 to enter the portal for their one-time transfers. It doesn't mean they have to find their new schools by then or that they can't return to their previous schools, but they have 30 days to decide where they want to be in the portal. More than 2,100 football players entered the portal in last December's transfer window, the most of any month since the transfer portal was created in the fall of 2018.
Yep.
So you got quarterback Washington State's Cam Ward, Duke's Riley Leonard, Oregon State's DJ, and
Well, and a
UCLA's
lot of
Dr.
these guys are going to follow. Like if their coaches are leaving for other jobs, you see a lot of them follow the coach.
Yep.
Which, again, the whole thing with this is I've always felt like, okay, you make a decision at 17 or 18 years old, and then you get to 20, 21 or whatever. You deserve one to be able to change your mind. And if coaches can leave whenever they want.
I get it. I'm not defaulting the guy. They're not blaming them.
But it's the wild, wild west. I mean, it is the true wild, wild west. And the other thing is, like, everybody's like, well, with NIL and transfers, well, somebody needs to get in, get involved, and Congress needs to step in. I'm like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
No, not at all.
Like y'all messed around, and the NCAA messed around, and you just twiddled your thumbs like you always do, and you're like, hum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum. You remember that Simpsons episode where the comet's coming and Homer's sitting on the roof going, hey, we're here taking the only bridge out of town. Meanwhile, everybody's going,
Right.
do-do-do-do-do. Like, that's the NCAA.
Let's just, as of 10:30 this morning, 10 minutes ago, there have already been 477 players that have entered the name of the transfer portal on the first day of the portal window opening. We now have 1,600 enter since the end of the season. So, yeah, it is the wild, wild west, and that's why it's I tell you fall in love with the school, not the player. You play for the school if you're a fan, not the player, because they're going to break your heart and be gone.
9013 says, hey, Big Joe, I'm getting out of my vehicle at my next stop. I just want to let you know.
Thank you. I'll write that down. Again, we'll go back. Nobody cares about your messages that you're leaving the school. We just don't care about those.
It's calculated. But, I mean, and I wonder this too. Do you think that part of – I mean, we know the big reason that they're expanding to 12 teams in the playoff is money, 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 money. I mean, that's the biggest reason. But I think another part of it is, you're not going to – if you're Ohio State and you're in the playoffs, Kyle McCord's not transferring. He's not entering the transfer portal right now. So some of this might cool down I mean, it's not going to go away, but I mean, some of it might cool down with the top tier teams because you're gonna get in the playoff.
Sicko's Committee on Twitter, which is a great follow, says we're ranking schools. That's important to know. We rank schools how far walking distance is from your stadium to the nearest Applebee's. And the number one school is West Virginia. It's 0.7 miles. It falls into the chaos of all that's going on right now. Florida is 1.3 miles from an Applebee's if you want to go to school there.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, the Sickos Committee is always fun to follow on because they look at how absurd a lot of things are with college football and everything, and just makes me laugh.
Life is absurd.
It is. Life's also a highway.
It is. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll get to celebrity birthdays and put a bow on this Monday. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 106.3 The Game.
My dear friends, let me tell you about a great thing that's happening in our city. It's Middle Tennessee's best health care in the comfort of your own home. I'm talking about medical house calls, where the nearest clinic is your home. Now, the website is simple, medicalhousecalls.com. No more heading to an urgent care. No more hopping in the car and sitting in a waiting room for long hours. Board-certified nurse practitioners and physician's assistants come right to you. And look, just don't take my word for it. Just read the numerous fantastic reviews that Medical House Calls has gotten. It simply is a game changer. In fact, Chuck McDowell was a client. He loved the service so much, he bought the company. You know, for years, I had to leave work early to check on my mom when she was sick. And now you can have Medical House Calls check in on your loved ones to make sure everything and everyone is doing okay. Just go to the website again today and see how great Medical House Calls is. That website again, medicalhousecalls.com.
Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe. Hey, tune in tomorrow. It's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the Preds game tomorrow night against Chicago, you win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Participate with Robbie and Rexroad tomorrow morning at 8:45. Pick to Click, presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. List your home with TJ to get your home seen, heard, and sold.
TJ, man.
Yeah, man, a lot of stuff to get into today. Caroline Willie and D-Mace will continue to do that, and also Mike Vrabel will speak at noon. College football playoff. We talked about it earlier, real quick before celebrity birthdays. Did I get it right?
No. I think Florida State should have been there, but nobody cares what I have to think. But
look, I get it. I think Georgia had a case to still be in there. I think if you're ranking the 4 best teams right now, then, it is Michigan. I'd put Georgia and then Texas and Alabama. I understand what you're saying about Florida State, but I know that, the injuries are a part of the criteria, and whether that's right or wrong, that's how they view it. And now they've written themselves an out because this is the last time they had to do it. I think it's fitting that probably the most difficult one and the one that is going to have the most controversy is the last one.
of course.
In the 10 years of the playoff, this is by far the most controversial one.
But I'm telling you right now, they're going to bitch and moan about team 13 and 14 and 15. I mean, it's never going to
but
end.
it's not going to be the same.
It's going to go. You wait and see. They're still going to complain. We didn't get in. They didn't get in, and on and on and on and on. Just not a fan of it. But again,
well, where the bitching and moaning is going to be is because they're going to give an automatic bid to a group of 5. So, like, Tulane would be in this year.
That'd be Liberty, my friend.
Or Liberty, I guess, would be in this year.
Easy with the CUSA hate.
Sorry. And then you would have, like, whoever the last team of the Power 5 that's left out because of a group of 5. That's where the complaint is.
It's going to be. There's there's so much to say about this. I feel bad for the Florida State
But you know what?
kids.
You're still going to watch. That's where they got you.
I love college football.
Sure. I mean,
love
it. We complain about the NFL adding another team to the playoff and expanding and, all the Thursday night games and things like that. We still watch.
Yeah, I mean, even the playing games in the NCAA tournament, they had the 4 teams there or whatever it was. Still watch that.
The in-season. Now, I'm curious with the in-season tournament with the NBA. I have not watched that at all.
I haven't watched an NBA game in decades. I could.
I could care less or I couldn't care less?
Couldn't care less.
I couldn't care less.
Because you could care less means there's something else you couldn't care less about.
Okay.
I couldn't
care less. Thank you.
Tim Duncan still with the Spurs?
No.
He's out.
He's retired.
He does MMA boxing now.
Oh.
Leisurely.
He's a fighter in MMA?
Yes, not for professional, but for leisurely, yes.
Leisurely, I'd go see a movie. He wants to get in the ring and fight?
That's what I've seen online.
Leisurely, I lay by the pool.
Yeah, right? Go have a beer.
That's me.
Says he loves it as a second hobby.
Real quick, Dr. Crane, you sent me this thing about the Miami tight end Cam McCormick petitioned the ACC for a 9th year of football?
9th year. This is as of last month or 2 months ago, September.
Good grief.
9 years of football.
Man loves
Van Wilder?
Man loves his football.
He should have 4 degrees by then. Well, for me, it'd barely getting 1. So
yeah, I was about to say.
All right, Dr. Crane, you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do
brother.
this. Celebrity Birthdays presented by Zach Pillar and his new Instagram account. Follow Zach on Instagram at Zach Pillar Design 69 and step into his world.
Zach Pillar will be here tomorrow in studio with us at 10:30. All right, here we go. First birthday, actor Jeff Bridges, who was fantastic in the football movie Against All Odds. Jeff Bridges.
69.
58.
74. Actress Marissa Tomei won an Academy Award for My Cousin Vinny.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Marissa Tomei. Also Seinfeld episode.
Yep. She's in The Wrestler, too. That was good.
62.
I'm going to go a little younger. I'm going to go 56.
Oh, Dr. Crane, she's 59. Just outside.
We were all around it.
Actor, comedian Fred Armisen, who was on SNL. Portlandia is a pretty funny show. He's a funny dude.
58.
64.
57. Good job, Chase. On top 1-0 here. Going on down the line. Jay-Z.
Oh,
Rapper Jay-Z. How old is he?
that reminds me. I have to show you a meme about
no.
JT. 57.
This is tough. I mean, he can't be that old. We're going to go 52.
54. Tied at 1. Let's see here. Tyra Banks.
Tyra Banks. 47.
Tyra Banks, 42.
50. Actor, producer Max Baer Jr. He was on Beverly Hillbillies. Was he Jethro?
I don't know.
Is that what? Maybe he was the
79.
84.
Son? 86.
Nice.
Dr. Crane's up 2-1. That's pretty good. You guys doing good today? Good.
Great. How are you?
Singer Southside Johnny of Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. You know his name. Probably don't know him, though. Does it matter?
82.
72.
75. Listens down in Franklin. Former drummer for Diamond Rio, Brian Prout. He's an Instagram friend of ours. Drummer of Diamond Rio.
Love Diamond Rio.
They love you.
59.
Meet me in the middle. We're going to go a little 56.
Well done.
68. You guys are. Kirk Cameron's wife, Chelsea Noble, off of Growing Pains.
40. No. 51.
Okay.
58.
59. Dr.
Okay.
Crane up 3-1. Love it. From Chase's favorite show actor, Orlando Brown, who was on That's So Raven. How was he?
Pretty good offensive lineman, too. Orlando Brown. That's So Raven. I'm going to say 40.
44.
36. And we'll end this one with he's from Jackson, Tennessee. Game show host from Tic Tac Toe, Wink Martindale.
Not the offensive coordinator.
Not the offensive coordinator. Wink Martindale.
Or defensive, whatever he was.
Defensive coordinator. For
For
the Giants. Now, Wink Martindale from Jackson, Tennessee. Not Stink Martindale or Wink Fartindale, but Wink Martindale.
79.
73.
90.
Oh, boy.
You guys are terrible today. Was it Monday?
Yeah, it's Monday.
Dr. Crane, you win 3-1. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Congrats.
much.
You'll
And
get
because of
your
that
prize
win,
number.
you get to enter the portal.
I'll
is
be
correct.
taking my talents to, I don't know. We'll see.
Probably to some Italian restaurant later on, right?
Yeah, not Fazoli's has good breadsticks. But
Now that you've announced, somebody we both know is going to call you and ask if you want to come work with him and also ask you for free tickets.
That's right. That'll do it. Hey, before we get out here today, to our guys out there today, let you know that we love you, man. I know the holidays are a tough time. It can be struggling, but know that our world's a better place. You guys are here. 988 on your cell phone. 988. If you need to talk to somebody, please reach out, talk to somebody. This will let you guys know that we love you and stay strong out there.
Amen to that. Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace next.